How do you live on retirement income? Hi there, my name is Stan, the Annuity Man, America's annuity agent, licensed in all 50 states. This is a big question. There's, I think, 14,000-ish people turning 65 every single day. So this is a question that comes up a lot. You know, how do I live off of it? How do I live off retirement income? What is retirement income? We're going to look at all of that. How do you live off of it? Where do you find it? You know, how do you calculate it? So you can live a good life in Chapter 2, because Chapter 2 is about you. We'll talk about all of that after this. So how do we live on retirement income? Big C behind the camera said, Chapter 2, is that bankruptcy? No, that's Chapter 7, Big C, okay? Chapter 2 is what I call retirement, because Chapter 2 is about you. So how do we live on retirement income? I think the sad part of this conversation is that the vast majority of retirees, and I guess that's people 65 or older, baby boomers, they're living off Social Security. I mean, that's it. That's what they have. Now, the sad part about that, Social Security was never intended to be the primary income source for people. It was supposed to be a help, an ancillary, a secondary income source, not the primary. And it's turned into the primary income source for too many people for a myriad of reasons, you know, some political, some not political. Just some things happen, right? And I'm glad that safety net is there, and it's a, you know, it's, what do they call it, the third rail? I mean, no politician was ever going to step over there and mess with it because, you know, what do you call someone who gets a Social Security payment? You call them a voter. They vote because that's their livelihood. But I'm assuming that most of you that are watching this are thinking a little bit broader than that and are more just fortunate enough to have some extra assets to look at retirement income. So Social Security is obviously the bedrock. It's the foundation. It's the best inflation annuity on the planet, period. End of story. It is an annuity. It's going to pay for as long as you're breathing. And a lifetime income annuity does the same thing. The difference is we can structure the lifetime income annuity so that when you die, when your Learjet hits the mountain, 100% of the money goes to the beneficiaries and the evil annuity company doesn't keep a penny. So you have Social Security, pensions, if you're so fortunate, and only 9% of the country, last time I looked at the stats, have pensions, and most of those are government workers, state workers. There are some private companies, but they're few and far between. That doesn't happen much anymore, okay? The third retirement income source, if you're fortunate enough to have an IRA, so let's just say you have a 401k that can be converted, transferred to an IRA after you quit working for that company, or 403b, 457 plans, whatever you've been deferring the growth on can be transferred to an IRA. When you hit RMD ages, you can check that. They change all the time. But let's just say for math, let's just say 73 at the time of this taping. It could change. Check the date. IRS taps you on the shoulder and they say, okay, IRS says, okay, you have to start taking money out of your IRA whether you need it or not, and you have to pay taxes on that. That required minimum distribution, which means that's the minimum amount you've got to take out per the IRS out of your IRA, whether you need it or not, so you can pay taxes on it. That's an annuity payment, because as long as you have money in your IRA, the IRS is going to tap you on the shoulder at that RMD age and say you need to take it out. So that's an income source as well. Now you need to look, if you're fortunate enough to have a portfolio of investments, whether it's mutual funds or stocks or bonds or whatever, some of those have dividends, pay dividends. That would be going into the income, what I call the income floor, that income amount that you're depending on to live. And there's a lot of other products, annuity and non-annuity, that you can look at, that you can peel the interest off of, etc. You have to look at that. You have to figure out what sources make sense for you. If you're just the person out there that Social Security is it, Stan, that's all we got, then that's all you got. The good news about that is that's the best inflation annuity on the planet. Politicians will raise that typically on an annual basis because they know you're going to vote. But if you have more money than that, then you need to look at your overall income floor needs, what you need to pay the bills and live a good life and go out to eat and travel when you need to, buy the new car when you need to. What's that income floor amount? Maybe you don't even need an annuity. Maybe that's covered by just interest on a large sum, or maybe that's covered, with the stocks, etc., that you take. I would warn you though, if your advisor's saying, let's, instead of the annuity guarantee, let's do a 4% withdrawal called the 4% rule. What that means is, what they're saying is, let them manage the stock and mutual funds and just peel off 4%. Hopefully that's gains. My comment is, what if it's not gains? What if you lose 20%? You still got to take 4% out. And what if you lose 10% the next year? You still got to take 4% out. That has been debunked. For the people out there that are advisors that are yelling at the screen, my apologies, but I'm right. And maybe you're the anomaly and the unicorn advisor that gets it right every time. Godspeed to you. But the vast majority of advisors can't do the 4% rule. They don't know what they're doing. I call advisors, because I've been there. I was with Morgan and Dean Witter and Payne Weber and UBS. Nothing more than professional dart throwers, period. End of story. I mean, they're doing the best they can, but they're guessing just like you are. What isn't a guess are annuities. Annuities are contractual guarantees. You're never guessing on what you're going to get because we only look at the contractual guarantees of the policies, not the hypotheticals, theoreticals, projections, unicorns chasing the butterfly, beautiful scenarios that if you'd owned it 10 years ago, Mr. Jones, you'd have made this. How about market upside with no downside? Listen, if it sounds too good to be true, it is every single time. We're talking about retirement income. We're not talking about unicorns chasing the butterflies. We're talking about guaranteed income hitting your bank account. Can we get an annuity amen on that? That's where annuities come in. You might hate annuities. You might have a reason to hate annuities because someone tried to sell you a bad one. But annuities, remember, you already own one. Social Security, if you have an IRA, you own 2. RMDs, if you have a pension, you own 3. They're primarily used for lifetime income and or principal protection, but most of the time lifetime income. And in this case, retirement income. And the good news is that it's the only product on the planet, annuities, there's many types, but for lifetime income, that will pay as long as you're breathing. That will pay regardless of how long you live. And we can structure it so that 100% of any unused money goes to the listed beneficiaries of the policy. Do me a favor and click this above my head. There's a link. And that takes you to a video that I break it down. I talk about my company, my journey, how I became Stan the Annuity Man, how this all happened. And the reason behind this video is I want you to know if you engage with us, if you choose to work with us or at least go to our site and look at our free information, etc., you're going to know the background of it. You're going to know why I'm doing this. I'm not perfect at all, but we only sell contractual guarantees. We only look at the contractual guarantees of the policy. So on the Stan the Annuity Man YouTube channel,